Hello, it's John Paulus. You're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet, and boy, do I have a doozy for you today. Throwing everything at a strategy. So won't you join me today for another episode of Life's Potluck Buffet? So today's worksheet is worksheet 19, and worksheet 19 takes off from card 19, which is it's only desperation if you have no strategy. Because strategies are really things to throw everything at. And in a certain sense, our instincts when we're desperate, our instincts are to just do anything kind of randomly in order to make something happen. And as we know, that often doesn't help so much, often doesn't work. Maybe sometimes it even sets us back in what we're trying to accomplish. So card 19 and worksheet 19 are all about empowerment and getting power from the idea that there's a strategy, that there is a plan to accomplish your goal that is based on a thoughtful idea of how to accomplish that goal. And maybe a step-by-step idea, but nonetheless, a progression of things that need to happen for that goal to be accomplished. So you'll see on the screen the worksheet 19, and worksheet 19 has on it circles. It has three big circles. You'll remember that worksheet about thinking of your work life as a pie. These are the same circles from that. They're now being thrown towards a frame on the right, which is in green, and it has rounded edges, and they're moving from left to right towards those. But they're also like little stepping stones because, as you'll see, we're going to talk about this as a kind of step-by-step thing. And there are also three yellow lemon dots, which are also hurtling towards the frame on the right. Oh no. Uh-oh. Would you believe it? I just finished recording the episode, and I realized that I didn't record the drawing that I did, which is a bit of a bummer. But, c'est la vie. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about what I drew on worksheet 19, and if you look at the video part of it, you'll see the drawing, which is complete on the screen. Okay, so let me describe to you what I ended up drawing. So the instructions for worksheet 19 were to draw a goal in the frame on the right-hand side of the worksheet, and then draw in these three circles that are on the worksheet what is needed to accomplish that goal. And so as my final goal, I drew a Liberty-style villa in Switzerland. And I mentioned that it was about, I'd say, 400 square meters for those of you who use meters. I think that's something like, 6,000 square feet? It's a lot. And it's got yellow sides, and it's got a red roof, and it's got some windows drawn in red, and there are two fountains that are in blue that are made up of Life's Potluck bowls that I kind of drew to have as fountains. That I would totally do that as the fountain feature there of this villa, because the villa is all really about Life's Potluck Buffet, because in this villa I would not only live there, but I would also host events to do with the work of the future and flourishing and everything Life's Potluck Buffet is about. And it would be awesome, and we'd have a lot of fun, and it would be so invigorating and amazing. So that's my goal, is to have that Liberty-style villa in Switzerland. And I'm saying Liberty style. that's kind of fitting because we're talking a little bit about liberation and freedom, but the liberty part of Liberty Style, I believe it comes from there's a department store in London that I think that a lot of the furnishings and decor of these places and the architectural aesthetic of them comes out of the design work that was happening in and related to that department store in London. I believe that's why they call it Liberty Style. But anyway, you can easily check that out for yourself on Wikipedia. Look under Liberty Style. And then you'll also see examples of what, they actually look like, as opposed to my drawing, which, it's not the worst. Honestly, you'll say, okay, John, I got what you're going for. So, you'll see. Okay, so in the circle, I put a bunch of monetary symbols. I put the CHF for the Swiss franc. I put the euro symbol for euros, and I put a dollar sign because there's a lot of money involved in buying a Liberty style villa. Not a small investment, right? So that's going to involve a lot of money, right? Francs, dollars, euros, whatever. And I learned something interesting about the euro sign today, and that's that it's supposed to be an epsilon, an E, for the E in euro, but with two bars across that symbolize stability. I thought that was really interesting. And it also reminded me of a card from Life's Potluck Buffet, the card about come up with your own inscription. Do you remember I mentioned in that card that there is an inscription from a Greek temple, an ancient Greek temple, that had just an epsilon as an inscription. And the epsilon was interpreted in various ways, but the point is it was just that one letter, which is the whole inscription. So it's kind of interesting that the euro is just one epsilon. It struck me. Anyway, so to the left of that circle, I've written profit and invest, standing for investment, because what's going to provide that money to buy the Liberty Style villa is profit is needed plus investment so that that money can grow, so that you get the idea. You got to get enough to have the money for the Liberty Style villa, right? So there's going to be a good deal of money to start with, and then that might need to be invested to grow that. Okay. And then so what produces that profit plus investment? Well, it's going to need to be revenue from, and I drew a picture of the Life's Potluck Buffet Dutch oven, and it looks a little bit like that acorn I drew the other day too. So I think that's fitting because an acorn symbolizes that seed that grows into that majestic oak. In this case, the seed that's going to grow into the Liberty Style villa. Okay, so products and services from Life's Potluck Buffet that produces that revenue, which ends up producing that profit, etc. Okay, and then I drew in the circle to the left, the starting point, a megaphone, which looked a little bit like a catfish at this point, maybe a whale with some, I don't know what happened. But anyway, it's supposed to be a megaphone, and there's like sound coming out of it, which you'll just have to go with me on that one. And getting the word out, marketing, talking to people, getting people to hear what's going on. That is the step to getting the products and services out there. Just gets the revenue, turns into the profit plus investment equals the money to buy the Liberty Style villa and have our wonderful events there. I would also live there, by the way. Obviously, this is a large villa, so it would be really. This whole thing would be an awesome setup. This will be an awesome setup. So the people are involved there. I wrote there. There's like I started drawing a person, but it looked like a moai from Easter Island. So I just wrote moai ? Then under that I wrote people just in case put the PE and people and the OPL far from each other in a way that looks like pay and Opley. But anyway, the point is it's people. And then I noticed that people is right next to profit, and this gave me a chance to talk about some of the programming that we're going to have at the villa, and that is going to be programming having to do with people is greater than profit. The profit is very useful, obviously, as an instrument to get things that are needed, but in the end, people are greater than profit. So I was able to put a greater sign next to that. I really like that that's how we ended this. So if you want to give this worksheet a try for yourself, all you need to do is, let me get the word out, is to go to lifespotluck.com/worksheets. The link is in the description, and download worksheet 19 for yourself. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in Switzerland.